Title, right there. Converting general form to slope-intercept form. One of those two phrases you know. Which is the one of those two phrases which you already know? Eric. You know slope-intercept form. What is slope-intercept form? No, that's point-slope form. But you're close. Y equals mx plus b. Yeah? What are x and y? Where do I find the x and the y's? On the axis. They're the coordinates, right? So x and y are coordinates. What is b? The y-intercept. And what is m? Equals slope, which equals rise over run, which equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. All of that you already know, correct? All right. Now I'm going to tell you what general form is. I'm going to tell you general form has a few rules about it because it's general form. It's cared so much about the rules it's risen all the way up to general. General form. It's much more superior to major form or lieutenant form.
Definitely about private form.
Oh yeah, private form. Whew, that guy's a clown. All right. So, general form is this. Now, I am going to highlight general form in blue. I'm going to highlight slope-intercept form in yellow. I would like for anybody in the room to describe for me some similarities between what is highlighted in blue and highlighted in yellow. Go ahead, Seamus. They both have an X and a Y. Excellently done. Well done. Which means I can always find numbers to put in there where? On the graph. Excellent, because the graphs are made up of what? X's and Y's. Lovely. Give me another one, Ash.
They both equal something?
They both are equations. They both equal something, which means they can be solved, not just simplified. Lovely again. Go ahead, Corey. See what I did there? I looked at you and you were all ready to go, but I said Corey.
The C in the blue and the B in the yellow both represent the y-intercept?
No. But they are both the same in that they are constants. They have no variable with them. So that is right. They do share that. Is that what you were going to say? Excellently done. Yes, they are both constants, but one is a C and one is a B. Why have I done that? Because they are different. If I give them the same letter, they're going to be the same, right? So while they share the characteristics of both being constants, they are not the same thing. Everybody is happy with all those similarities, yes? Now what are some differences? Oh, Ash, you're on fire. So you're all hyped up from seeing the Taylor Swift concert last night. She was already your favorite. I find whenever I go see a band, they could become my favorite band for the next little while. Because you're like, oh yeah, that's on. Oh yeah, that's on. Oh yeah, that's on.
Yeah.
Carry on.
The blue one has like three foil equal thingy. There's like three things there.
Yes.
And the yellow one only has two.
Yes, absolutely right. The blue one is a trinomial, whereas the yellow one is a binomial that equals the third term, yes? That is a difference. But it's also a similarity because they both have three terms, right? We forgot about that one. Okay, is any other differences? We've already talked about the C and the B. They're different letters, so something's weird there. What else?
The blue will always equal 0, while the yellow will always equal the y.
Excellent. The Y is isolated in slope-intercept form. The Y is not isolated in general form. Anything else?
Instead of M, you have the A.
Instead of an M, you have an A. Why could that be? They're both coefficients of X. M is a slope. Does that mean A is a slope? No, or what letter would be there? M. Good job. You guys are on fire. I don't want to get any close to you because I might get burned. All right. There are some rules about general form, though. That's good. You spotted all the similarities and differences. There are some rules about general form. A must be positive. Are we allowed to have a negative slope over here? Yes, but A cannot be negative. A, B, C must all be whole numbers. What does that mean? No decimals, no fractions. Are we allowed fractions and decimals over here?
Yes.
Yes. No decimals, no fractions. And A, B, and C all equal 0. Everything is on one side. Now, general form has an ugly cousin. General form's ugly cousin is standard form. And standard form is simply this. AX plus BY equals C. There's just no 0. The C is by itself. Is everybody cool?
Why is that the ugly cousin?
Just because that's just what I say. They're the same thing. Now, with all of those similarities, and knowing that this will make you a line, can you guess if this will make you a line?
No.
Why do you say yes? Pardon me? We have seen that before, absolutely we have. But even if we hadn't seen that before, what about the blue one lets you know it will make a line? Without even knowing that. What is not there in the blue that we have seen in the past that creates not a linear equation?
Exponents?
Exponent. There's no exponent. It's x's and y's with no exponent. So we know that it's going to make a straight line. If that's going to make a straight line, and that's going to make a straight line, and that has x's and y's and a constant, and that has x's and y's and a constant, are we able to work between them? Louis has already given us away because he says, yes, we will convert between them. And that is exactly what we are going to do. What mathematical power allows us to convert between these things? Algebra, the thing you learned 11 years ago when you were first learning addition. Okay, let's do so. So, what do I have in number 1 here? I have general form. Yes, sir. So I've highlighted them in blue. If you were in the 9th grade and I said, put general form there on the graph, what would you have had to do? What would be the only way you could have done it if this was last year? Table of values. And you would have put what numbers in?
-1, -2, 0.
Yeah, any numbers you choose. Would they go in for X or Y? X. And then you'd have to do a whole bunch of algebra to find Y, wouldn't you? And then you would get a whole bunch of points, and you put them in the graph, then you connect them with a line, right? But this year, you've been made aware that sometimes you can just look at something and be able to graph it, correct? So, if we can make general form, yes sir, look like slope-intercept form, then we should be able to graph it in about 2 seconds, correct? Great. So, what would I have to do to 3x minus 2y plus 8 equals 0 to make it look like that guy? What would be the first thing you would do, Liam?
Isolate the y.
You would isolate y. Great. Okay. What does that mean? Good math term, but what does it mean to do? Get y by itself. Now, you guys are teenagers, which means you are inherently lazy. Would you rather pick up and move 2 things or 1 thing? 1 thing. So to get y by itself, isn't it easier to get rid of only the y? Excellent. Now, do we wish to isolate the y, or do we wish to isolate the 2 and the y? Eventually, just the y. But before we get to the y, we have to deal with that 2, don't we? So right now, we got to deal with the whole thing. What is the best way to get rid of a negative 2y? No, that only gets rid of the 2. Add 2y. Where else must I add 2y? To the other side. Now, we talked about this last day. There is an algebraic shortcut that helps you here. Anytime you move something over the equals sign, what do you do to its sign? Change it. So what I did here is got me to 3x plus 8 equals 2y. Now, is the y term isolated? The term is. Is the y isolated? No. Now I have to get rid of the 2. I don't want to touch the y. So what gets rid of the 2? If I divide the right side by 2, what must I do to the left side? Divide everything by 2. And what do I get? 3 over 2x plus 4 equals y. Does that look like that? Does that mean we can graph it without even thinking about it now? Yes. Where do I go to start this graph? Up 4 to the, what do we call that point? The y-intercept. General form would already have given you push-ups. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then where do I go? Up 3. And right 2. And where else? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And what does that give me?
A big line.
My line. Now, stop for 1 second. What are the coordinates of that dot right there? Check on your graph. 2, 7. Agreed? Great. What letter does that 2 represent? X. What letter does that 7 represent? Y. What do you have right there? X. What is the X value I could put there? What is 3 times 2? 6. What is the Y value I could put there? What is 3 times 7? 21. 6 minus 21. I like how you said that with a question tone at the end of your voice. Plus 8. Does that equal 0? It's not 21. Sorry, it's supposed to be 14.
That's what I said.
No, but you said 3.
I did say 3 because I was looking at the X. So, what is 6 minus 14 plus 8? Does it equal 0? Yes, it absolutely does. Now, look down here. If I put a 2 there, what do I do with the 3 and the 2? Or the 2 2's? Cancel. 3 plus 4. What would I put in for Y? 7. Holy crap. Does it work? Does it matter what form it is? No. Let's quickly put this... no, we'll do that later. Is everybody good?
Yes.
Prove it. Do number 2. Oh, number 2 is the ugly cousin. Does it matter? No. Do it. I am starting out with this. And I am trying to get to this. So's I can graph it. Everything I just said. Thanks, Louie.
Maybe someday it'll happen.
Don't worry about it. You guys all kicked its ass anyway. Slide over to page 205. What is wrong with the first question on page 205? You don't know anything about it, do you? Right now, you can't do anything, can you? No, you can't. So, I'm now going to give you some information. Tell me when you have enough, you think, to do all three forms. I will remind you what each form is, though, just to be sure. Y equals mx plus b. Y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. That's what we learned yesterday. And ax plus by plus c equals 0. I want all three of those forms. You cannot do it right now. Why? You have no x's, you have no y's, you have no slopes, you have nothing. Everybody cool? All right. Now, I'm going to write a couple of numbers. You tell me when to stop.
Stop.
You could solve all three of them with that. No, because what is that? It's just a 2. No, it's not even an x yet. I haven't put a comma. It's just a 2. Can you do anything with it? No.
2x.
Yeah.
Now can you do some stuff?
Yeah.
Do I need to keep going?
No.
You're more than welcome to
What
keep
else
going.
are you gonna rate
Yes,
that?
you-
Oh, you little slope.
Can't do slope, can you? Don't I need slope for 2 of these?
Yeah.
So I can't do it yet, can I?
No.
All right.
He's like his computer. He froze for a second.
Can you do it yet?
No.
What about now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Could you do it now?
Yeah.
Okay. What would you do first?
Y2 minus y1.
Why would you do that? I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just asking why you would choose to find the slope first. You need slope twice, don't you?
Yeah.
So if you know slope, you're 2/3 of the way to solving these, aren't you? Right? Or are you all the way towards solving them? Because once you have slope, don't you have an x and a y? How many x's and y's do you have? 2. Do you have x's and y's here? Yep. Do you have x's and y's here? So once you know slope, can you do this entire question? Great. Who's going to find the slope for me? Somebody go. What do I write?
7 minus 2
Okay.
over 4 minus 2.
Okay. What is that?
5 over 2.
So now I have an m, right? Where can I put that m if I want? Which colors?
Black.
Black or red, correct? Which one do you want to work with? Black? Okay. So that would be y equals 5 halves x plus b. Have I solved it yet? Why not? Pardon me? We don't have a b. How will we find b? Okay. What math should I do? Isolate b? Okay. Let's do so. How would I isolate b? I got to get rid of 5 over 2x. Yeah, I got to move it over, don't I? Okay, so that's y minus 5 halves x equals b. Great, b's isolated. Do I have a number for it yet? How will I find that number? What in this line is unknown right now? No, x and y are perfectly known. Why are x and y known?
Because you can put anything in.
What's that? xy. What's that? So can I put them in there? Great. Which one should I put in there? Does it matter? Why not? Why doesn't it matter? Are those dots on the same line?
Oh, they're both dots on the same line.
So will they not share a y-intercept? So, which
How are they on the same line?
I told you they're on. I told you those are 2 dots on the Cartesian plane. 4, 2, and 7, 2. Oh, sorry, duh, idiot. 2, 7. right?
Oh my god, I understand. So now we're
All of you should already have seen the mistake you've made. If Ash jumped off a bridge, would you all jump off a bridge? What's the mistake Ash made? I've been letting it go to see if anyone would catch it. What is it?
The 5/2 is actually negative.
Right. Why is 5 over 2 negative? Because what did Ash do? She made that horrible mistake of going 7 minus 2, which means that was y2 and that was y1. But then she went 4 minus 2. Ooh, all right. So what is it really? It's 2 minus 4, right? So it's negative 5/2. So I let it go for a while. You caught it now, kind of. So we are back at y plus 5 over 2x equals b. Now, do I have x's and y's? What would be the smartest pair to plug in there? The yellow pair or the green pair? Why the yellow pair? Well, I would use the yellow one because 2 will allow that 2 to cancel. So let's do that. What goes in for y? 7 plus 5 over 2 times what? 2 equals b. What happens with those 2's? Cancel. 7 plus 5 equals b. What's b? 12 equals b. Can I now fill this guy in?
Yes.
What is it? Y equals, what's my slope? Negative 5/2 x
Plus 12.
plus 12. Is everybody good? Great. Can I make this look like the red one now? How? Do I know any part of this red one right now? What do I know? I know all of it, don't I? I have y's and x's, and I have an m. So which of these do I put a point in for? The 1's or the x's? Which is the one that's known? The 1's. So it's y, I don't even need to write it over there because we already know it. Y minus what? 7 equals negative 5/2 bracket x minus 2. What's the other way I could write that if I so chose? Y minus what? 2 equals negative 5/2 x minus 4. Those are the exact same thing, aren't they? Great. And the last one, I need general form. Yes, sir. What must I do to, which of those is easier to work into general form? Black or red? Why? Pardon me? Yeah, what? We don't have to change. I was happy. We don't have to convert what? We don't have, red is yuckier. Red is busier, isn't it? So if we were going to change the black one into general form, what must I do? We've already talked about the differences here. What do I need the number with x to be? Positive? Negative? Fraction? What? It must be positive and whole number. So is it positive right now? What would be the easiest way to make that guy positive?
Reciprocal fraction?
No, that does not make anything positive. Move it to the other side. If I move that guy over here, what happens to his sign? 5 over 2x plus y. What else needs to move? The 12, because everything's got to be on one side. What happens to that positive 12? Am I almost there? What's the only thing I need to get rid of now? How do I get rid of a fraction? Times by what? y2. because the 2's will cancel. So a better thing to say when I asked, how do I get rid of a fraction, isn't multiply by 2, it's multiply by the denominator. If I multiply one thing by 2, what must I do to everything else? Multiply it all by 2. The 2's cancel. 5x plus what? 2y minus what? 24 equals what? 0. And that's done. Now, is it easy to check? What's 5 times 2? What's 7 times 2? What's 10 plus 14?
4.
It's not a trick question. I should have heard 30 voices. What's 24 minus 24?
0.
Did we do it right?
Yes.
Yeah, because if it works with one point, it's going to work with the other, isn't it? What's 5 times 4? 20. What's 2 times 2?
4.
What's 20 plus 4? 24. What's 24 minus 24? Did we do it right? Yes. How many people are feeling confident? How many people are feeling yellow lighty?
Yellow lady.
How many people are debating slamming on the gas to get through that yellow light? Which is not what you're supposed to do. But that's what we all do anyway. Shh. I didn't record that. Yellow light means stop unless it is unsafe to do so.
Yeah, exactly. It's always unsafe to do so.
Because the idiot behind you is trying to get through that yellow light.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I want you to take this. Y minus 4 equals 2/3 x plus 2 and make it look like general form. Yes, sir. What does your black equation have that you are not allowed to have in general form?
Fraction.
Fractions we hate. What else? What else is something that's quite prominent in the black that is not in the blue?
No, the bracket.
The brackets. So I have to get rid of my brackets and my fraction. Does it matter what order I choose to attack this in? No, not even a little bit. Which would you like to get rid of first? You want to get rid of the brackets? Okay. So how do we get rid of brackets? 3x plus 1. How do I get rid of the brackets? I distribute. Yes? Does anything change here? No. So y minus 4 equals 2/3 x plus what? This is where you're going to be in trouble, maybe.
Isn't it still 1? What's up there?
2/3 times 2. What is that? 4/3. Now, what do you see that you don't like? How do I get rid of that divided by 3? If I multiply one thing by 3, what must I do to everything else? So, I got to multiply all this by 3. What happens to all those 3's? Cancel, cancel, cancel. And what's left on the right? 2x plus 4. What's on the left?
Y minus 12.
3y minus 12. Am I almost there? Is x positive? Is x a whole number? Are we happy? Excellent. Is y with x? No. Is y a whole number? Yes, so I only need to change one thing on y. What is it? It's got to move over and be with x. 2x minus 3y. Is 12 over with the x's and y's? No. So I better move it over. Plus 4 plus 12. Are 12 and 4, do they want to be separate like that? Of course not. So what is it? And are we done? Does that look like that? And we know it works there because that's where we started. Is everybody good? Did you learn any new concept today? No, you met a new equation, you learned its name, general form. Yes, sir. Now, prove it. Take that point slope form and move it into every other form. All in one question. Does it matter how you start? Nope. I will remind you of the forms again. Do you ever have to memorize these forms, by the way?
No.
No, of course not. Why?
Because it's on your book.
Because where do they live?
In the book.
Now, they aren't named, but we got to ask you guys to learn something. So I'm looking for these 3. You can work together, you needn't talk, or you needn't sit quietly. There is no right way to go about doing this, but there is a more efficient way. There is one of those 3 I like to convert to first. But again, what was my verb there? Like to convert to first, not must convert to first. Okay? Would anybody like to volunteer where they started? I'm not saying you have to finish, just where did you personally start? Anybody? But you all said you were at least yellow lighty, which means you must have an idea of where to start. But I only asked where you started, Eric. I didn't ask for it to be done. You went straight to general form because that's what we just did, right? Okay, no problem. Good luck. Liam went to gen form. Yes, sir. Liam, do you like to distribute or deal with the fraction first? You like to distribute? Everybody happy with Liam's performance so far?
Yes.
What should Liam do next? Even if you didn't follow Liam's track, what should Liam do next? Multiply everything by 2. 2y plus 6 equals negative 1x plus 1. Now what should Liam do? What there doesn't he like since he's going for general form? That 6 needs to come over and become negative 6. Good job. What else? That 2 needs to come over, so I'm going to have negative x minus 2y minus 5, correct? Are we quite there? What's not allowed there? Negative x. So that I got to divide everything by negative 1. So that I'm going to get positive x. What's going to happen here? Positive 2y. What's going to happen here? Positive 5. Is he done? So he has covered general form. How can I make that standard form? What's the only thing that has to move? 5. Negative 5 equals x plus 2y. Is that allowed to have a negative for c? Yes. So that one's done. What's the only thing left? Slope-intercept form, which means y has to be by itself. I've got negative 5 equals x plus 2y. What has to move? Pardon? X moves. Negative x minus 5 equals 2y. Now what? Divide by 2. Negative 1/2 x minus 5 halves equals y. Is that okay? Am I allowed to have a y-intercept that's a fraction? One, two, three. 5 over 2 is 2 halves, right? Or 2.5. Can I find 2.5 on the y-axis? 1, 2, 3. There's 2.5. Are we okay? Are we done? Following Liam's method, did we get there? Did it matter which way you started? No, because if you've done your algebra right, you're going to end up with that, that, and that. If you don't have those three things, is it algebra that's letting you down? Or is it grade 10 math that's letting you down? It's the algebra that's letting you down, isn't it? Which means, what is the only thing you can do to fix this?
Go back to grade 1.
Practice algebra. Okay? Is everybody good? All right, now it is 1:50. Class ends at 2:20, which means you have 30 minutes left. You have some work to do. Page 206. A great many of you, and by great many of you, I mean every single one of you, apparently, didn't do anything on the last piece of homework I gave you. Because, of course, when the bell rings, class is over, and anything that's said after that doesn't count. You can't tell on the recording, but I'm looking at somebody in particular. Anyways, so you have a buttload of work you could be doing, right? This is the end of the unit. We are moving on to a review. That review will happen tomorrow. Listen to me carefully. You will not be able to do that review unless you are comfortable with these last two last two lessons. You will not be comfortable with these last two lessons unless you practice these last two lessons. You've been given 2 pages worth of practice. Use them. At 2:10, which is in 18 minutes, I will hand you back your last test and we will go over it because I believe everyone has written it now. As soon as I finish talking, I'm going to check and make sure everyone has written it. Then, if there are people that haven't, I'm going to give them their usual options. Aight? Aight. Carry on.